Hello everyone, and welcome to my Soap Twist 24 channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Electra's phone buzzed on the glass coffee table like an agitated hornet. She recognized who it was before even looking at the screen. The caller ID just said Mom. No emoji, nickname, or heart. Just Mom, as it had been since Electra was 16, and she decided that putting a small red heart next to the word felt too much like lying. She let it ring out. The voicemail chime came 30 seconds later. Electra peered at the ceiling of her arts district loft, watching the sluggish spinning of the industrial fan she'd paid $400 to have installed because it appeared edgy in images. She wasn't prepared. Not today. Not after a week on the Forrester runway, smiling through 12-hour days as Steffi Forrester gave her that tight little smile that said, "You're disposable, honey," as soon as your cheekbones sag. The phone vibrated again. This time, a text. "I'm outside." 3 words. No punctuation. Her mother was never very concerned with punctuation when it came to feelings. Electra sat up, her bare feet touching the cold concrete floor. She stepped to the window overlooking Mateo Street and saw the identical gunmetal gray Toyota Camry that had driven her to every beauty competition in the San Joaquin Valley. The automobile had not changed in 15 years. She did not appear to have a mother. Electra buzzed her up. The elevator ride took forever, since the building wanted to pretend it was a converted warehouse, and warehouses evidently despise efficiency. When the doors finally opened, there she was, Dr. Marisol Vega, MD, retired, still wearing the same navy blazer she'd had since Electra's high school graduation, clutching the same scuffed leather purse that had once held orange slices, bobby pins, and the weight of dreams too big for a town of 30,000. "You didn't answer my calls," Marisol stated in greeting. "This is not an accusation. This is just a fact. I've been busy." Electra stepped aside to let her mother enter. Forrester Creations introduced the new range. 12 glances. I closed the concert. Marisol moved by her, her gaze roaming over the loft as if she were counting sins. The massive black and white print of Electra wearing nothing but diamonds and a smile. A half-empty bottle of Casamigos on the counter. The only coffee mug in the sink has been there since Tuesday. "You live like a ghost," Marisol remarked. "I live like someone who has fittings at 6 a.m., Her mother placed her handbag with the care of a woman who still cut hospital corners on bedsheets. "We need to talk." Electra felt it then, that change in the air that everyone talks about in movies but never believes until it occurs to them. The light streaming through the window suddenly felt colder. Her heartbeat went from her chest to her throat. "Mom, if this is about me not coming home for Christmas again, it's not." Marisol reached into her purse and pulled out an envelope. It was thick, cream-colored paper that cost more than the average person's groceries. The return address was engraved in gold. Forrester Creations, Legal Department. Electra laughed, but it was brittle. "Are they suing me now?" Breathing too near to Steffi's ego? Marisol did not smile. She held the envelope out. "Read it." Electra accepted it. Her fingers seemed oddly separated from the rest of her, as if they belonged to someone else. She ripped it open. The first page featured a cover letter on hefty letterhead. The words leaped out at her, as if shouting. According to Eric Forrester's last will and testament, direct family members have the right to paternity proof. Page 2. A laboratory report. DNA. 2 profiles placed side by side. One labeled donor, Eric Quinton Forrester. The other labeled subject, Electra Marisol Vega. The match probability is 99.9997%. The paper dropped from her fingers and landed on the floor like a dead bird. "No," Electra muttered. Then louder. "No. This is ridiculous. This is some kind of sick joke." "It's not a joke," Marisol said quietly and gently. "Sit down, Mija." Electra did not sit. She backed up till her shoulders struck the brick wall. "You informed me that my father was a medical student. You said he left before I was born. You told me his name was Daniel." "I lied." The words sat between them, simple yet devastating. Marisol continued, It was 1998. I was completing my residency at UCLA. Eric Forrester came in with chest issues following a gala. They stated that they were stressed. Nothing serious. However, he stayed overnight for observation. We talked. He was charming. Sad. His marriage to Stephanie was failing. One thing led to another. It happened only once. When I discovered I was pregnant, I anticipated what would happen if anyone found out. Stephanie would have destroyed me. You were destroyed. So I left LA, went back to Fresno. I told everyone the father was a boy I met in college who refused to have anything to do with us. Electra's lips opened and closed. I opened it again. You let me grow up believing I was insignificant. Dirt under their manicured fingernails. And the entire time, I protected you. Protected me? Electra's voice sounded like a whip. You allowed me to walk into that building every day for 2 years, believing that I had to work my way up from nothing. You allowed me to smile at those individuals while they treated me as if I were a diversity recruit with good bone structure. Marisol flinched. I had no idea Eric would leave something for you in his will. He died before I could. Before you could do what? Tell him he has a daughter. Ask for a check. Electra laughed again, but this time it sounded like broken glass. God, Mom. All those years, you taught me that we didn't need anyone. Vegas sticks together. It's just us. And the whole time, you were telling the worst lie of all. Marisol went forward, palms outstretched. Electra, please, don't. Electra raised a hand. Just don't. The silence between them was thick and terrible. Outside, a siren screamed along Alameda. Finally, Marisol spoke. There's more inside the package. A letter. From Eric. He seemed to have written it many years ago. Electra examined the scattered sheets on the floor. It was sealed with instructions to test any child who might be his in case of his death. She crouched and picked up the letter with shaking fingers. The writing was apparent. She'd seen it in memos, doodles, and birthday cards that the elderly guy had sent to the entire staff. Elegant, looping, and fully assured. My dearest Electra, if you're reading this, it means the reality has finally caught up with us both. I wish I could say I am sorry for what happened, but I am not. Not exactly. Because you exist, regardless of how you were conceived. And one of the few unrivaled thrills of my later years has been observing you from a distance, witnessing the fire in you that is definitely mine. I never informed anyone. Not my kids. Not my wife. Cowardice, possibly. But also love. I loved your mother enough to let her go, to let her raise you without the poison of this family. The Forresters destroy everything they cherish. I did not desire that for you. But I'm gone, and money is the only language this family understands. So, I've left you with 25% of Forrester Creations. Voting shares. Enough to get them to listen when you speak. Enough to make them scared. Use it wisely. Or just burn it all down. I find that I no longer care. Just remember that somewhere, in whatever comes beyond this life, your father is pleased of the lady you've become. Eric Electra, my love. Read it twice. Then the third time. When she looked up, her mother was silently crying, tears running down her cheeks, which had never worn much makeup since doctors don't have time for that nonsense. 25%. Electra replied dully. Marisol nodded. That is more than Ridge has. More than Steffi and Thomas together. Another nod. Electra stood slowly. The loft didn't feel as big anymore. It felt like a cage. What happens now? She inquired. Marisol wipes her face with the heel of her hand. There is a board meeting tomorrow. They've tried to keep it quiet, but news is spreading. Ridge knows. Steffi knows. They are preparing, Electra repeated. The word tasted metallic. They will try to buy you out. Alternatively, discredit the results. Or both. Electra approached the window. Down the street, a few influencers were taking pictures in front of the painting across the street. They live well-regulated lifestyles. She imagined what it would be like to go back to it. Her main concern was if Hope Logan would steal her dressing room. She turned back to her mother. You should go. Electra. I need to think. Marisol paused and picked up her purse. At the door, she halted. Whatever you decide, I'll still be your mother. That part was never a lie. After she went, Electra stood in the middle of the loft for a while. Then she poured herself 3 fingers of tequila, drank it all in one go, and called the one person she knew would answer no matter what time it was. Carter, she replied when he picked up. It's me. I need to see you. Carter Walton came 43 minutes later, wearing sweatpants and expressing concern. He took one look at her and closed the door behind him without saying anything. She handed him the letter and the DNA report, all of it. He read silently. When he finished, he glanced up at her, as if in wonder. Jesus, Electra.
Yeah.
You're a Forrester. The word struck her like a slap. She waited for victory, vindication, or something. Instead, she simply heard a hollow ringing in her ears. I'm a bastard, she admitted. You're the heir, Carter said gently. And tomorrow, the entire company will find out. She collapsed into the couch. Carter sat next to her, close but not touching. What are you planning to do? He asked. I don't know. She laughed, making a broken sound. A part of me wants to walk in there and see them choke on their own entitlement. Part of me wants to sell every stake, move to Bali, and never think about couture again. And the rest of you? She gazed at him intently. Carter Walton was the only person at Forrester who had never viewed her as an outsider, who remained late to help her rehearse her runway walk when no one else would, who brought her soup when she had the sick and sat with her while she grieved about a boy who wasn't worth the mascara. The rest of me, she explained slowly, is enraged. To my mother, to Eric, to everyone in that building who has ever made me feel small. And I'm not sure what to do with that yet. Carter stretched out and took her hand. Then let's sort things out together. One step at a time. She rested her head on his shoulder. She breathed for the first time since the packet landed on her floor. Tomorrow, she would walk into Forrester Creations as Electra Forrester, the founder's daughter and owner of a piece of the firm, rather than Electra Vega, the failing model. Tomorrow, she'd smile like Steffi always did at her, like if she knew something they didn't. Tomorrow, the game would shift. Tonight, she allowed herself to be held by the one person who had never demanded that she be anything other than herself. Electra had become accustomed to Los Angeles's unshakable rhythm, the hum of aspiration, the glitter of opportunity, and the never-ending swirl of the fashion world that surrounded the Forresters. She fit in better than she imagined when she initially arrived, but she still had the gentle imprint of a life lived away from bright lights and big names. Being a part of the Forrester orbit had been unreal at first. The glamorous parties, the impossibly beautiful people, and the tension that lurked behind even the most cordial conversations. But she managed to carve out a space for herself, working in the design studio, turning her ideas into fabric, gradually garnering respect from those who had previously neglected her. Despite the outward appearance, Electra had a feeling that something in her life didn't quite fit. Her mother, Mara, raised her alone in a small coastal village, never mentioning Electra's father or dwelling on memories that could explain why she constantly felt on the outside of every room she entered. When Mara told stories about the past, they were always ambiguous. Electra had learnt to avoid asking too many questions. Some doors were better left closed, or so she thought. When Electra realized her mother was visiting Los Angeles, she felt a mix of joy and dread. Mara had never exhibited an interest in traveling or visiting the city, and she certainly had no desire to meet anyone associated with Electra's new life. But the call she received a week before had been brief and unusually urgent. I need to see you, her mother had stated. In person. Soon. That was it. Electra tried to push the talk out of her mind throughout the days, but when the morning of Mara's visit arrived, she found herself unable to concentrate. She strode over the Forrester studio floor, ignoring the fabrics that awaited her attention and leaving the unfinished sketches on her desk, scattered and untouched. Are you okay? Inquired Zend, leaning against the doorframe. He lifted an eyebrow at her, a half-smile lightening his concern. You've been chewing through that pencil for the last 10 minutes. She blinked, realizing he was correct. The eraser was shredded, leaving powdery residue on her fingertips. My mom is arriving today. She never travels. I suppose something is wrong. Perhaps she just misses you. Maybe, Electra responded, but even she didn't believe it. Electra finally stood outside her apartment building, waiting for her mother, as the sun sank in Los Angeles. Mara noticed the taxi as it approached, and she stepped out slowly and deliberately. She appeared tired, more so than Electra had ever seen her. Her mother was consistently exact, calm, and measured. Now she appeared to be carrying a weight so heavy that it bowed her shoulders inward. "Mama?" Electra rushed to her. Mara gave a faint smile. "There you are, sweetheart." Their hug felt strange. Mara's hands trembled, and her back tensed up. Electra pulled back and examined her mother's face, but Mara merely squeezed her hand and whispered, "Let's go inside." When they arrived at the flat, Mara sat on the couch, disregarding the tea Electra brought. Her eyes remained riveted on her folded hands. "Mom," Electra whispered softly, taking a seat next to her. "What is going on?" Mara exhaled forcefully, as if she had been holding her breath since she arrived. "There's something I should have told you a long time ago." Electra's gut tightened. "Okay, what is it?" Her mother paused, her lips shaking, before eventually speaking. "You are not a forester," Electra said, confused. "A forester?" "Mom, I never said I was. I just work." "No," Mara said softly but firmly. "I mean, you have no connection to them." "Not by blood," she swallowed, rubbing her palms over her jeans. "Your father is not who you believe he is. The truth affects everything." Electra sat still, resisting the need to hide inside herself. "So, who is he?" Mara's eyes softened, but her anguish only increased. "Not someone from the world you know today. But someone was tied to it in a way that I should have told you about before you stepped foot into their lives." Electra gazed, the ground shifting underneath her. "Mom, please. Just tell me." Mara reached into her purse and retrieved a folded envelope. She held it with both hands, as if it might burn her. "Your father's name is Adrian Hale." Initially, the name meant nothing, but gradually recognition seeped in. Hale. As with Hale Couture, one of Forrester Creations' oldest competitors. Adrian Hale, the enigmatic entrepreneur whose designs nearly dethroned the Forresters decades ago. Even though he had disappeared from public life, rumors continued to circulate about him. Some claimed he quit the profession following a scandal, while others cited illness, sadness, and financial devastation. Electra had no idea she had any link to that world, let alone to the man whose legacy loomed over the fashion business for which she now worked. "That can't be right," Electra said softly, shaking her head. "You never even mentioned him." "I wanted to protect you," Mara responded, her voice shaking. "I didn't want you to get involved in old rivalries, especially ones that devastated lives. I wanted you to grow up without all of it." "But why now?" Electra demanded, feeling her pulse pound in her ears. "Why are you telling me this now? After everything? What happens after I've established my life here?" Mara glanced away, her speech scarcely audible. "Because Adrian is dying. And he wants to see you." The air appeared to freeze. Electra experienced a burst of shock, fury, hurt, and something else she couldn't identify. "He wants to see me? What happened after decades of neglecting me? After never attempting to contact me? Ever?" "I didn't allow him contact you," Mara confessed, her tears finally falling. "He tried. Multiple times. I turned him away every time. I thought I was doing the correct thing. I believed I was shielding you from a world that would take you whole." Electra rose up abruptly and began pacing the room. Her chest felt tight, and her thoughts were too loud. "You've lied. You've kept everything from me. Everything." Mara let out a broken sound. "I understand, and I apologize. But he has only a few months remaining. He asked for you." "I couldn't say no this time." Electra wanted to shout, but her emotions were too twisted to unravel. The betrayal was harsh, but behind it was a deep ache, one she'd felt all her life but never understood. Why now? She whispered again, mainly to herself. Mara dried her eyes and controlled her voice. Because he wants you to inherit his legacy. Electra froze as she realized the Forresters would be curious about her true identity. What do you mean? You've carved out a place for yourself in their world, Mara added. But once they learn you're Adrian Hale's daughter, everything changes. Electra felt the weight of the truth settle on her like an unpleasant storm. Her career, her connections, and her hard-earned trust in the Forrester studio may all be jeopardized if her true identity was revealed. The fashion industry had long memories and deep grudges. She understood it personally. Her mother went on to say, "I came so you wouldn't be caught off guard. I came to prepare you." Electra slumped back onto the couch, her voice hardly holding. "I'm not sure how to feel." Mara placed a soothing palm on hers. "I understand, honey, but I need you to hear the rest." Electra's heart raced. "Is there more?" Mara nodded slowly. Adrian didn't simply leave the fashion industry. He was forced out. And the Forresters played a role in what happened. Electra looked at her mother, her breath stuck in her throat. "What do you mean?" Mara paused, then began telling the narrative she had kept hidden for decades. She revealed the competition that grew beyond business, the charges that dragged Adrian's name through the mud, and the devastating downfall of his career, an implosion so sudden and savage that he vanished without even trying to recover. Electra listened while trembling. She knew the Forresters weren't immune to harsh tactics, but learning that her chosen family might have ruined her true family's future made her stomach turn. "Mama, why didn't you tell me about this before I started working there?" Mara muttered, "Because I hoped it wouldn't matter anymore. Because I hoped the past could stay buried." Electra pushed her palms to her brow, attempting to comprehend the immensity of what she'd learnt. She recalled the people she worked with, Ridge, Steffi, Hope, and Zend. People who had grown significant to her and whom she admired. What would people think if they knew she was Hale's daughter? Would they view her as a threat? A spy? A reminder of a feud they thought was long forgotten?